I'm bored and also a little bit tired, and also I've scared my dog away immediately with how loud I was when I said, "Hi, Belly." Well, Belly, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you, Miss Lady. You okay? You a good girl. You want to say hi? I've been asleep all day and I've felt very lost for the day. Not in life, but I don't know what to do since I woke up at 3:30 on a Sunday and I just don't know how to make a productive use of that day. And then I realized I hadn't watched the Scrubs revival yet, which is weird for me because I loved Scrubs. If you've watched videos on my channel so far, you'll know that A, I've done a video about Scrubs before.
Then season 9 didn't happen. You made it up.
It's about how the less serious it got, the more uncomfortable I was with the characterization of the main character, JD. And that's because I think it's the first show that I saw that took its characters that seriously in a comedy. And so when I felt like they had stopped doing that, I was upset. Not upset with I don't care actually. I know I did a whole video essay about that, but I also, actually fun fact about that video essay, that is one of the ones that I did when I was basically trying to push myself to make videos again. And the Scrubs one specifically was a script I had just written in college that I had never gotten around to filming, that I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this and put it out, and it'll be something, like, I agreed with the points still, but, a lot of my videos since have focused more on finding, like, things I really like about network sitcoms, or movies, or music, and then trying to focus on how I think the creator accomplished that thing I like. But this old script was a little bit more negative, and I wasn't expecting it to do as well as it did, and I'm glad. I'm very proud of that video, and I think that College William, the version of me who wrote that video, he would appreciate that video did well, so thank you. All that to say, I'm gonna watch the Scrubs revival, and I don't know, I'm gonna watch whatever's out now, and then I'll talk about it, because I gotta make use of my Sunday somehow. We should probably talk about how we got here. The problem is I don't really know how we got here. I knew that Zach Braff and Donald Faison were real-life best friends, and they had been doing the Scrubs Rewatch podcast for forever. They were one of the first ones doing a rewatch podcast. So I kind of felt this coming, but I mean, like, in the same way that you can kind of feel all these revivals coming. Like, you just know if you get the right creative team who liked the actual show that they worked on enough, you can probably get them to come back and do more. The Malcolm in the Middle one is another one that I know, like, I saw that coming because Bryan Cranston specifically has been trying to get that going for years, and it just seemed like everybody was going to want to come back. And it's just, and I don't know how I feel about these revivals, because a lot of these sitcoms, especially when they ended, there was like a sort of bittersweetness to the fact that, like, times in your life like this come to a close. And I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of revivals that really capture a cool, like bringing back a cast and characters, but how it all feels different. There are revivals that have done that, but I don't know about TV revivals specifically. The only real TV revival that I've watched has been Futurama, though, and that, I mean, like, I don't know, they've been canceled and come back so many times. They don't really do anything about it anymore. Like, they're just like, oh, they're gonna let us do more. I guess Doctor Who is a revival. I'm getting off topic. Let's watch some Scrubs. I looked up Scrubs, and it says Scrubs 2001, and yes, this is the old show. They've not added a new season, so okay, cool. I saw the Scrubs revival on the front page. I went to talk to you guys, because you're my friends. And then when I went back, I couldn't see where it was anymore. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just search it. So I did, and it's giving me old Scrubs, which it has not put new. So there's a separate page for new Scrubs somewhere, even though it's being billed as just like old Scrubs going forward. So over the years, I've collected like a ton of like TV shows on DVD. And so every time I go back to streaming, I'm just like, this is not worth it. Oh, there's only 2 episodes out so far. Okay, this shouldn't take long for me. I watched episode 1. I've watched episode 1. Great, I can't figure out how to say I've watched episode 1 without feeling weird about it. It's like I'm speaking a foreign language. No, but I liked it. I thought it was a fun episode of Scrubs. Like, I don't know, sometimes revivals come back and it's just like, oh yeah, there's not a lot left in this show they've brought back. And I don't feel that way with Scrubs. There's definitely, like, it fell for most of the revival pitfalls, but to be fair, Scrubs has been doing the whole, a new set, a younger generation comes in and is taught by the older generation. Like, that story has kind of been the Scrubs story for, like, with JD as the teacher since, like, season 6 of the show. I think maybe even earlier. So, like, it didn't even faze me to see a new group of interns, because if it's Scrubs, they were gonna have a new group of interns. And I always like the interns on Scrubs that feel like they're able to develop quick, distinctive characters, and I think that these interns are a good set of interns. You got the handsome guy that's a dick, and then there's the guy that was following Dr. Cox around that's a dick. One of them's British, and he hates blood. And I wish that the hates blood is the thing I remembered about him. And then one of them was, liked she doesn't like that Dr. Turk is depressing, and she doesn't like Coldplay either. Which is fair, I thought it was funny that Turk ends up playing Coldplay. I feel like that's they end the episode playing Clocks by Coldplay, and that's a pretty funny way to end your revival, is just like, yeah, we're not gonna act like this isn't just like straight 2000s nostalgia. I'm not a fan of the JD and Elliot are separated thing. I know it happens in life, but you know, I just don't want to watch another one of these. That's the big revival pitfall that always gets me. Oh, and the whole group has fallen out in some way. So I'm glad that that's not what's happened here. Like, it seems as though the focus of this episode was that for a lot of the main characters, like Turk and Dr. Cox, and even JD, their professional lives have sort of soured, and they need to fix that. And so Dr. Cox wants, spoiler here, Dr. Cox wants JD to come in and be the new chief of medicine at Sacred Heart, so that he is doing something more fulfilling with his life, and Dr. Cox can sort of retire because he can't abuse people anymore. I loved Dr. Cox. John C. McGinley still has it, although he's much sweeter in the revival than he ever was in the original show. But I think that makes sense, because I'm assuming that they've all kept contact over the years, and that Dr. Cox and JD are a little bit closer now than they were even when the series ended. So it makes sense to me that they would do that, especially because it doesn't seem like he's going to stick around. I don't understand why they had the lady. It's weird. A lot of revivals that are brought back, they're like, oh, you couldn't get away with what we got away with. And a lot of them are technically shows that have had episodes pulled because of material that I don't remember anymore. It's early 2000s comedy was pulled from the streaming services because there was a point where the creators wanted to act like the episodes didn't happen rather than just like say something about whatever. I don't know that Dr. Cox's specific brand of bullying it would be in real life, it would be like an HR violation, but it's not. Like, what he was doing, like, you couldn't do at the time either. Like, he's just being mean, and you don't actually want to be that mean at work. But he's also a TV character. I think he could have survived. But I also guess a lot of that was just them trying to put together that he was leaving for a reason. And I think it makes sense to be like, hey, the Dr. Cox style teaching is outdated now, and we need more JDs in the world, in the hospital. I don't know. I don't want to get too into the plot, though. Like, all that is there, and I mean, like, some of it's just like revival checklist material at this point. But it's also not abnormal for Scrubs and this didn't feel like Scrubs anywhere near its worst. I think this felt a lot like it picked up where the season 8 of Scrubs kind of left off, because season 9 of Scrubs was supposed to be a spin-off called Scrubs Med. So they kind of take the tone, they shift it a little bit, they shift characterizations around and focus on different sorts of personalities and make it its own very distinct thing. This episode feels like it's picking up the tone and the characterizations of season 8 and running with them. And I think that that's a good idea.
But the baseline is that the show is based in reality. And in doing so, we sort of considered 9, and Bill has said this publicly, that he thinks of 9 as, he wished he'd called it a spin-off. He wished he'd called it Scrubs Med School. So that's not really part of the canon of the story we're telling. We're staying with 8 as the finale. And fans who don't remember, we want to remind that what JD sees at the end of season 8 on that sheet is not necessarily what happens. It's what he dreams would happen. And as we all know, some dreams come true and some don't.
It was very fun. I loved the cutaway, the Feelings Police. I loved his outfit as the Feelings Police. He had the furry jacket and everything. Scrubs is always only as good as its best, dream sequence cutaway, and that was a great one. The first 2 minutes of it were just, I think, immaculate, because when it starts, it's JD in this sort of movie style sequence about saving a man's life, and I could tell that it was going to be a dream sequence because it was Scrubs, especially but it's done so well, and then his narration starts, and it feels off, and that cutting to him taking care of all the rich people, and then him coming back to Sacred Heart, I think that was all perfect. I couldn't tell if it was Carla doing, repeating lines that she had said before. I couldn't tell if they were doing a callback. It felt like they weren't, though. It just kind of felt like Carla and her actress, whose name I'm having trouble remembering, but just she's right back in it, and she's so good, and I'm, especially since Scrubs Med didn't have her at all, it's so great to see her back. It's great to see everybody back. When Elliot and JD go into the closet, and Elliot's rambling on, I can't remember now what she said had happened, but it was just, it's just one of those, it's one of those Elliot problems where she's freaking out about something that could only happen to her, and it's just, I don't know. It's so nice that everybody fell back into place just immediately here. This does, it doesn't feel it feels like a revival, but it also feels like a good episode of Scrubs, and I am always down to have another good episode of Scrubs. Oh, and let me ask Emily what she thought. Everything is so dark in Emily's side of it. Emily, I've just watched the first episode of the revival of Scrubs. What do you think?
I'm watching one of those drama TV things. I paid $15 for unlimited drama episodes.
You paid $15 for, is it a TikTok page?
I'm having a bad day.
You're having a bad day?
And it's not a TikTok page, it's an app. Oh, here, look.
Boys, we're just chilling. Stay away from people like that. You're trouble.
Drama.
I'm rewatching Smallville right now for the exact same reason. The plots on Smallville are so dramatic, and it's just tiding me over from real life negative feelings.
See, it's not weird.
Not weird. You just spent $15 on it.
But I only get the unlimited videos for this week.
What?
It's $15.
Emily, you got scammed. I should also probably mention Donald Faison's. This is not focused. There, now it is. Donald Faison's monologue outside the hospital to JD about being so sad was great. I saw a lot of people talking about how he should get an Emmy for this episode before I saw it, and I agree he's a fantastic actor. I don't really care if he gets an Emmy or not. Emmys are stupid, but he should get a big old William thumbs up, because I don't know, man, I do care about my own opinion. No, I don't. Whose opinion do I care about? If my dad likes it, my dad would be, hey dad, If you're watching, you better like Donald Faison's new monologue in the first episode of the Scrubs revival, because I think he deserves that much from you.
I just finished episode 2. I feel like it was a lot more.
Okay, so that is out of focus, and I'm not wearing my microphone. Looks like I completely stopped giving a fuck, or ran out of fucks, if you will, after the second episode of Scrubs, and now, as always, I'm the one who has to fix it. Me editing William as opposed to filming William. I don't think that any of you should have fixed it. Okay, well, I'll redo it. You should come over here. Just get on the... What's gonna really suck about this is I did enjoy the way that I delivered most of my points in the original footage. Let me make sure that I'm actually... Am I not? I almost did it to myself again! I really liked the original points I made in this video that's unfocused and doesn't have a microphone. And now I have to do it again and try and do it a little bit differently, because if I try to do it the same way, it'll be stilted now. Okay, we'll do it a fun way. I'll tell you about the second episode of Scrubs, the revival that I watched last night, in 25 words or less. No, 25 exactly. That way... Because what if I just said good? That's less than 25 words. Episode 2 was jam-packed with stories. JD has to be a big bad boss. Turk and Elliot fight about confusing things. Intern's there too. My hair was also better in this footage. What did I do to myself? I also want to say I think they did a really good job recreating the original Scrubs hospital. That hospital is like a dreamland scenario for me. Like, they made a TV show in a hospital. They had all the like sets there, costuming, the apartments were in there, the writing was in there. At one point they were animating Clone High in that hospital.
We would shoot on the first floor, the second floor, and the fourth floor, and all the dressing rooms and offices and everything was on the third floor. So what you're seeing first here is a recreation of the outside here in Vancouver, and this is exactly 100% accurate what the outside of Scrubs look like, except of course if you tilt up, this is just a warehouse.
And it got torn down at the end of season 8, and I thought that it was just gone forever. I hope that this one doesn't get torn down. I hope they leave this one up. Come on, you guys gotta save yourselves for in 20 years when revivals are popular. My closing thoughts on this are that I'll probably watch it, because even though it's not like they brought back Scrubs because they have something like new they just needed to say. It's like Futurama, they seem to have just brought it back because they can do more and they like doing the show. It's interesting because for so long Scrubs was one of those shows where I was really happy with how season 8 ended, and because of that I kind of felt like the whole show was leading to that ending, kind of made it feel like this like full experience to watch. Revivals in general kind of make it so that that is always an ending with an asterisk on an asterisk. I forgot how to say that word now. I couldn't tell you how to pronounce it correctly. I'm sure I could normally, but not right now. It's asterisk. And it took me 4 seconds to Google that, editing William. And we all saw you trying to jump the camera around and make filming William look bad, like, oh, I'm editing William. I can put together a 15-second piece on how filming William is making mistakes. Just don't be so hard on yourself, man. Endings all come with a question mark now, because revivals have set up this space where if your show ended perfectly, it could come back. And if it does come back, the characters are probably gonna be sad. So seeing that when Scrubs came back, JD and Elliot were separated, and it wasn't just this perfect ending for everyone, it makes sense, but it's also like, yeah, this is only something I have to experience because the show was brought back, though. But I don't know, if this turns out to be, like, bad or whatever, I had no problem pretending that season 9 didn't exist. I think I'm gonna do a video at some point about revivals in general, where I just try to catch up on all the revivals of TV shows that I did watch. Because the concept is very interesting to me, especially in that way, where it's like, like, what does it say about media now, where are shows going to start leaving more room in their finales to be brought back, or are revivals going to end up, because they're not really a thing of just our era, it's just our era has embraced them the most wholeheartedly. And it also ends up making the revival fit into the series weird, because I feel like there's something important to a show being shot all at once in the time period that it was. It's kind of why I'm not as big a fan of these shows that just take as much time as they want, rather than following the actual like TV season and releasing episodes week to week, because there is something, I think, that comes out of art that is made on a schedule. Sometimes the most insightful things about TV happen when it has to stretch itself a little bit or make up something because of limitations. And I think that part of that is, how do they stay relevant during their time period, and how do they keep their stories fresh and new and exciting? So when they go off the air for a long time and then they get brought back, and it's basically, now it's in this context where instead of trying to be like relevant and trying to be new, they're trying to sort of revel in what they were. So it makes for a completely different feel, no matter how hard they try to capture the new feel, because they're not only not in the same place in life, but they're not really making it with the same ideas driving them anymore. But that's just why I would want to talk about revivals in general. If I'm being honest, Scrubs is one of those shows that I'll always be behind more episodes of. I think if Scrubs wanted to be a perfect show, it probably should have ended around season 3 or so, and there was a long time where it was just kind of going because it was, but it's so easy to see how much fun like the cast and crew and creator have with this world, that I think, yeah, every time they want to come back and do more, they should, because I'll watch it. Wow, the whole point of this video was supposed to be that I was saving my Sunday, and now it's Monday. But I guess I did save my Sunday. It just came at the cost of my Monday. Hello, I'm from those Williams' future, but your distant past. Or, I guess if you're watching the video, like, right when it comes out, maybe just your normal past. I think I'm gonna be able to get it out today. As such, I've watched episode 3 and think it would be a good way to end this video. The premiere of a revival always has a certain amount of both hype and skepticism attached to it, and I think that in editing the footage of me over the last couple of days, I've seen that in myself, like this idea that I'm both excited to see Scrubs back and I'm trying to be like hyper vigilant for what I don't like in revivals, because I am sort of tired of the idea of bringing back old properties all the time, and I don't know, it's hard for me now to be like, I'm excited for a revival. But if episode 3 proved anything to me after the excitement of the premiere, it's that I'm down for this, if only because it seems like the entire cast and crew is happy to be here, and I trust them to be doing it because they just want to make more Scrubs and they want to make it as good as it can be. The episode was surrounding the divorce plotline, which again, I wasn't a huge fan of, but at this point I was kind of thinking, well, you know, I was never a huge fan of any of the storylines in Scrubs where JD and Elliot fought, but I still rewatch those seasons all the time because a lot of those episodes are great. Turk was funny as hell in this episode. I wish that they had given his character more to do than just kind of be like the guy who's like, his whole story is focused on one of the interns. The intern was homeschooled. She feels very off about, or not off, like she feels like people are gonna perceive her as weird and it's shaken her confidence. And Turk sort of plays like a background role in that story. So there's not too much of him, but it's great. I laughed a ton. I was talking about at some point how I missed the more subtle dream sequence stuff, like in the first season when the bag of bricks hits JD, just stuff that's more based in the hospital, and it's JD kind of exaggerating one aspect of reality rather than all of reality. And they did that with the Charlie Brown speaking in this episode. There is a portion where JD hears everybody as Charlie Brown speaking until Elliot comes in and says, "Stop Charlie Browning me." I thought that was funny, and it was also a nice way to further the fact that Elliot has, at this point, like, known JD long enough to know exactly where his fantasies are at. That's something they started doing in like season 8 of Scrubs. And I think all the new characters are solid. The only ones that are really getting focus right now are still the interns, but I think that they're all fun enough characters that I absolutely don't mind watching them. I think it's fun. I think the stories are interesting. It sort of feels like season 1 of Scrubs stories, and it's focused on just enough to make me like it. Like I'm endeared to the characters. I don't know. I don't want to get too into like I guess plot rediscussion or joke rediscussion, like stuff like that, because I think that if anything, it's just what this has shown me is that I'll watch this and I think I'll have fun with this. I don't know, like Scrubs is one of the shows that I rewatch a lot every time I'm sick or I just feel sad. Like I'll put on Scrubs, and I don't see myself skipping this season on a rewatch the same way I do season 9. Like the first 3 episodes are fun enough that I could see myself like playing them, and I just, unless it takes a nosedive in quality, I doubt that I'll stop watching and then not rewatch. It just seems like Zach Braff and Donald Faison are both putting like their heart and soul into this. Nobody had to come back. Bill Lawrence is doing like a bunch of award-winning shows, right? He created so many award-winning shows. Judy Reyes is on High Potential. Sarah Chalk's on Rick and Morty. Like, I don't think that anybody has to be here, and they all are, and they're giving it their all, and I think it is producing more Scrubs, like more quality Scrubs. Which I'm always down for, but as a fan of Scrubs. Like, it's weird because I don't know, I think that more people should be doing new ideas on television and in movies. But if any, like, group of people can be like, oh, we've been doing other things, I think it's this group of people. So I trust them to do more Scrubs and be having fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with all of it. But if episode 3 is kind of my first taste of it, of Scrubs revival outside of just the excitement of it coming back, then I think that I'm in. Even if we end up just getting a bunch of subpar episodes of Scrubs. I've rewatched a ton of subpar episodes of Scrubs. And I mean, I don't know, sometimes you can, like Arrested Development, you can tell immediately. When I rewatch Arrested Development, who knew there'd be planes outside? When I rewatch Arrested Development, I never even start season 4. It's not that I think that they're like so bad, but you know, when I'm I rewatch a lot of shows. Not actively, like I watch a ton of new TV shows too, but like when I'm got to have something on in the background, like it's usually a TV show that I've seen 100 million times. And when I revisit Arrested Development, I don't do 4 and 5. Scrubs! When I do Scrubs, I don't do season 9/Med, which apparently good call. But like, because again, it's not the series as I know it, and it's not like it was just so off that I didn't like it the same way, and so far this is nowhere near so off that I don't like. Like, I think that this is, for better or for worse, Scrubs. Like, even the complaints I have where they broke up Elliot and JD, or they're spending like a lot of time on new characters, like that's all the original show too. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. If you liked original Scrubs, watch it, it's fun. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. In every other version of the ending of this video, it hasn't really ended. I just kind of stopped. When I was a kid and I was done watching Scrubs, I would always go outside and climb a tree. No, I wouldn't, but you guys want to try and watch me climb this tree? I'm gonna climb this tree. You can try and watch me. It's all prickly up here. Is this impressive? My mic's down here. Is this impressive looking? I can't. Oh God, I'm more scared than I thought I would be. Trying to think of a tree pun to end the video. Everything feels loose. Oh, I got it. And that was the first tree episodes of Scrubs. I don't have a foothold. Oh, that couldn't have looked very impressive.